Hey everybody, welcome to Pack 1 Pick 1 number 214 on the Mana Leek, where we have another pack of Throne of Eldraine as we slowly wrap up November here. We've got December left of Throne of Eldraine packs. One of those packs will be a collector's pack by the by, but we're going to open this pack, see what's in it, and see what we would take Pack 1 Pick 1 if this was a draft. Now, each week over at patreon.com/themanaleek, I do draw a winner to get all of the cards from this pack from the $5 level or above patrons. You can take all the cards, none of the cards, some of the cards, whatever you happen to want, and this week it is Daniel M. So let's crack this open, see what we would take Pack 1 Pick 1 if this was a draft. Up first is Ardenvale Paladin. Ardenvale Paladin is 3 and a white for a creature human knight. It's a 2/5, but if you adamant it, you pay 3 white mana into this at least. It becomes a 3/6. It gets a counter. I don't like this Paladin. I think it's the worst by far. It just doesn't do anything. It blocks, but blocking is not something you want to do in Magic. You want to be proactive. Obviously, you may need things to block, but you shouldn't play things that are only good at blocking. So Ardenvale Paladin, I don't really ever want to play it, and I don't really want to first pick it. Mistford River Turtle is 3 and a blue for a creature turtle. It's a 1/5. Whenever it attacks, another attacking creature can't be blocked. Same thing. This blocks really well. It attacks and lets something through, but you're having to tap 2 creatures essentially, which, being completely hypocritical to what I just said, means that you can't block. You can't defend yourself that well. It just doesn't really work. I've tried this once or twice and it's been awful. Basically, every time I've seen my opponent try to use this, it's been pretty darn awful. Don't really want to ever play it if I can help it, and certainly not the first pick. Up next is Reaper of Night. Reaper of Night is 5 black for a 4/5 that when it attacks, if your opponent has 2 or less cards in hand, it gets flying until end of turn. And of course, Harvest Fear is 3 and a black for a sorcery adventure. Target player discards 2 cards. It's Mind Rot. This card's amazing. This card's amazing. It's such a great example of the adventure cards being serious value because you would never play 4 mana Mind Rot in your deck. But when you then later get to cast the 4/5 off of this, which you would never play a 4/5 for 7 that maybe gains flying either. But when you get both of these together, it just makes a solid card. I would hate to first pick this card. This pack's got to be better than that. But it's a good card. I play it in basically every black deck, sometimes in multiples. Up next is Scalding Cauldron. Scaldron is a single generic mana for an artifact. You pay 3 generic mana, tap it, and sack it to deal 3 damage to target creature. This is removal if you didn't quite get other removal, and even if you did get other removal, I don't hate playing at least one of these. It's an artifact, so there are synergies there, and it's just an all-around fine card. I would not want to first pick it. It would keep you open for sure, but there's got to be better cards in here. Brimstone Trebuchet is up next. 2 and a red for an artifact creature wall. It's a 1/3 with Defender and Reach, which is important. Tap it to deal 1 damage to each opponent, and whenever a knight enters the battlefield under your control, you get to untap the Brimstone Trebuchet. Card's solid. Card is super solid. I would hate to first pick it again, but this card is great in most red decks. If you are knight heavy, obviously you're going to get a lot more value out of it, but I don't even hate putting these in if I just have like a couple of knights. Even if I had none, I might put one in, because 1 damage a turn with a blocker, I'm just gonna be totally hypocritical in this entire video, is pretty good because this can block. Brimstone Trebuchet, not something that I'm gonna first pick, but a solid card. Crashing Drawbridge is up next. Crashing Drawbridge is 2 generic mana for an artifact creature wall. It's an 0/4 with Defender. Apparently this is just the blocking pack. Tap it, and creatures you control get haste until end of turn. This card has some value. It can get out of control, and if your opponent stumbles at all, this is just going to cause so much trouble when all of your creatures have haste. But if your opponent doesn't stumble, this doesn't do too much. Giving your creatures haste doesn't really do enough. So we're never first picking Crashing Drawbridge, and I'm not typically a big fan in playing it. Up next is Tall as a Beanstalk. Tall as a Beanstalk is 3 and a green for an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and has reach because it's a giant, even though the other giants don't have reach, and I hate that. It's not great. It's an aura. There's bounce spells in this format. You're going to get blown out playing this. You're going to get your creature removed from underneath it. It's just not what you want to be doing. Never first picking Tall as a Beanstalk, and preferably never playing. pack's been bad. Barrow Witches is up next. Barrow Witches is 4 and a black for a creature human warlock. When it ETBs, you can return target night card from your graveyard to your hand. It's not amazing. The Knights decks have never really been a powerful force in my experience. Knight synergies are there and they can be good, but building a Knight deck hasn't been my favorite thing. I prefer to just be an aggro deck. Some of those creatures are Knights. And Barrow Witches as a one of, if you do have enough targets, is fine. But I've come kind of down on this card to from being, oh, it's a grave digger in basically every black deck, to being like, it's sometimes a grave digger that costs more and is not always online. So Barrow Witch is not a first pick. And there's some packs or some decks where you just don't play it. Up next is Weapon Rack. Weapon Rack is 4 generic mana for an artifact. It ETBs with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. You can tap it to move a +1/+1 counter from it to target creature. No, just absolutely no. I don't want to pay this much mana and spend 3 turns to try to get those counters off of this. You're going to get blown out. It's just like tall as a beanstalk. The trick is that if you are putting your opponent under some kind of pressure, you may not have enough time to get blown out if you're just killing your opponent. But if they can, take a turn or 2 off and let you spend time getting a couple of counters off of this, you are going to get blown out. So not at all a fan of Weapon Rack. Never going to first pick it. Never going to play it. We get a foil. Our first uncommon is Shambling Suit. Shambling Suit is 3 generic mana for an artifact creature construct. It's a star 3. Shambling Suit's power is equal to the number of artifacts and or enchantments that you control. So this is always at least a 1/3, but it could be bigger. I've played this card way more than I expected, not even necessarily in the blue-white artifacts deck. If I have at least 3 or 4, maybe like 5-ish artifacts, which I frequently do in this set because of Scalding Cauldron, because of Brimstone Trebuchet, because of Wishing Well, etc. I've played this card. It's not a high-value card. It's not incredible. It is obviously only at its best in the blue-white deck, but it's been an okay filler card. Never, ever a first pick. Our second uncommon is Covetous Urge, and I guess this is going to be our first pick so far. Covetous Urge is blue-black, 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 or blue-black. For a sorcery, target opponent reveals their hand, and then you choose a card from their hand or from their graveyard. You exile it, and you can cast it with any color of mana. Solid card. You get some real value out of this. Obviously, there's a little bit of a risk if you cast this when there's nothing in the graveyard and you're just hoping there's something in their hand that's decent, or that their hand is not just lands. That has happened to me. But because of that inclusion of graveyard as well, this card just is so solid. You can just get so much out of it. I love this card. I've played this card a ton in mono blue, in mono black, in blue black. It's amazing. I love this card, and I would have no qualms first picking it. Our last uncommon is Rampart Smasher. Rampart Smasher is Gruul. For a creature giant, it's a 5/5. Can't be blocked by Knights. Everybody forgets that. Or walls. This card's also totally fine. I feel less good first picking it. Covetous Urge, I think, is just amazing. Rampart Smasher, I think, is just very solid. But if I'm in red, if I'm in green, if I'm in red-green, you better believe I'm happy to pick up a Rampart Smasher. It doesn't compare to Covetous Urge, but I still like it. Our rare is Ironcrag Feed. Ironcrag Feed is bad. 1 red for a sorcery, add 7 red. You can only cast, creatures or red spells or something? Something bad? You can only cast 1 more spell this turn. Right. This card's bad. These effects are never good in limited. Spending this much explicitly red mana to get 7 mana, so you're only getting 3 extra mana off of this, it just doesn't do anything. Card's bad. You should literally never ever play it, and you should never first pick it. Our foil is Revenge of Ravens. Look at that. Foil Revenge of Ravens. Revenge of Ravens is 3 and a black for an enchantment. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This can shut down decks. During my 24-hour stream, I made 17 brooms, and my opponent had 1 of these on their side of the battlefield, and I couldn't do anything, and I lost with 17 brooms on the table. Revenge of Ravens is a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the butt, and if you can get multiples, which is very rare in the real world, you can really punish some opponents. That being said, there are so many decks that just laugh at this. There are so many decks that have Rampart Smashers and just go, oh no, I'm going to lose 1 life. Well, take 5. Oh no, I'm going to lose 1 life. Take 5. Yeah. Revenge of Ravens is fine. I would consider first picking it in some packs, but I do think that people still to this day overrate this card. Don't go crazy with it. Know that there are matchups that you must side it out, as it is basically a dead card. But I wouldn't hate it. I'm going to bet that some of you want to first pick this. I'm first picking Covetous Urge. Let me know your reasons for what you would first pick out of this pack. Would it be one of these 2 cards or one of the other ones? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me over on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. You can find me at patreon.com/manaleek, where you can become a $5 backer and get your chance to get all the cards, some of the cards, none of the cards out of the pack each week, or just, throw a couple of bucks or whatever to help the channel out. Patrons keep this channel going for sure. So thank you very much to all of you over there. You can always go to inkedgaming.com, use the promo code MANALEEK10, all one word, 10 is the number to get 10% off your order. And of course, the easiest way to help out is simply to like, share, and subscribe. If you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, though, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time.